Live from not Dublin, but from Central Indiana. This is the Fighting Irish Faithful Show, Season 4, Episode 7, Volume 93 of the Fighting Irish Faithful Show. Notre Dame victorious, defeating the midshipmen of Navy 42-3. Notre Dame, very dominating performance, and very great start for the Fighting Irish going into this season 2023, Season 2 of Marcus Freeman. I am Joe at Faithful_Irish on the Twitter, doing the live post-game show here. It's about 6 o'clock Eastern here in the Indiana. But maybe we'll get some people from Ireland. Maybe we won't. But moving on here, we'll bring on our first person here. We want to get as many people on as possible. We'll invite to speak Hockey Dude 8487 on the Twitter. You've been invited to speak. Join in on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Man, we're just pumped here. Notre Dame comes out very strong, starts with 2 rushing touchdowns, so the hashtag RTDB people were very happy, and then after that, Sam Hartman just takes over. So, Hockey Man, if you want to jump on, by all means, welcome back to the Fighting Irish Faithful Show, post-game show. Let's go.
Hey, Notre Dame Faithful, how you guys doing?
Hey, man, it's so great to be back. This is the first post-game show of 2023. It's fantastic, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm finally excited. I'm not working or I'm not sleeping, whatever it is, and finally able to enjoy something, right?
Yeah, that's right. So you clearly were able to catch this game, or at least you're catching some highlights and you're jumping onto the post-game show. How you feel? Like how do the Irish look from your opinion?
To me, they look good. I mean, it's hard to judge with the triple option attack about the Russian defense, but they look good. The only question I had was in the second half, I don't know why Hartman wasn't in there for so long, but...
Yeah. I kind of wonder if that's just a function of, he just... Not that he needs his sea legs, because he's been around clearly for a very long time, but just, getting a lot more exposure in the offense, or, maybe the coaches just, look, you need as much time as possible to prepare for Ohio State and USC coming down the pipe. Who knows? But, I didn't have a problem with the duration he was in. In my opinion, it's like, once you get to that 40-point threshold, then it's like, okay, then we'll start putting our backups in. So I was happy to see Angeli go in there at the end. At one point, I kind of thought that they'd even throw Minchie a bone, but maybe they don't want to burn his red shirt right away. I don't know. But did you think that Hartman was in there too long?
I mean, just a little bit. It didn't, affect the game or anything. I thought, after a series of 2 in the second half, they would have brought in Angeli or Minchie just to run the full offense and see what they did.
Yeah. No, and I think, and maybe that's a function of the quote-unquote new rules with the time clock, or even just Navy and their, offensive attack, or even just, and even Notre Dame, we were running the ball quite a bit. We haven't, digressed too much into the stats tonight. We have not done the breakdown as we normally do about, this many percentage of rushing yards versus passing yards, this, that, and the other. But we certainly, I think that the ebb and flow of the game, Notre Dame versus Navy, it did limit the number of possessions, right?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting with that new rule, how everything kind of flowed way faster.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, I mean, anyone who's listened to me on this podcast before, my opinion wasn't so much, look, don't speed up the game. Just limit, the TV timeouts, limit the time for instant replay. If you want to speed up the game, speed it up that way. Don't speed it up with actual gameplay. No fan wants to...
That's kind of a shame, because I don't think you're ever going to get away from the TV timeouts.
Yeah, I mean,
you kind of see that in the NFL. It's pretty much slogged with TV timeouts.
What's the expression? TV stations run the world and nobody cares. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. we are happy to watch the Fighting Irish, by all means, today. So were you able to catch the whole game, start to finish?
Yeah, we got home just before the game started, so I was able to catch it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I know, right? It was pretty lucky.
I'm just happy that we're not under shot. We're not in shotgun the whole time. That seeing Hartman under center quite a bit is man. I'll tell you what, it's a breath of fresh air, and we were effective. We're moving the ball, We're granted it's Navy, right? It's quote unquote weaker talent, So I'm not gonna pop champagne corks or anything of that nature. But at the same time, it just made sense. The offense made sense today, right? We passed the ball not right away. We didn't come out slinging it at all.
Well, it was a breath of fresh air to see a quarterback just handle everything. He knew what was going on. Even had pressure. He slid around, and handled it and threw the ball. And it was like, wow, that's nice to see somebody do that as a quarterback at Notre Dame and be able to put the ball where he wants to.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think the real story of this podcast, or at least of this game, other than the 4 passing touchdowns by Hartman, seeing Price with a touchdown, Estime with a touchdown, but in my mind, the biggest breakout star is not going to be Hartman. It's going to be Jaden Greathouse.
Oh yeah, man! Seeing him catch 2 touchdown passes,
yeah,
looking good out there doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no bobbles, no question about it.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, Jadarian Price getting out there, it's nice to see him healthy and just executing. It was like, man, that dude looks quick.
Yeah, he looks like he was ready to go right from the start. Averaging 6.3 yards per touch. It's fantastic. A long of 19, 1 touchdown. Very, very happy to see him getting going and moving the ball forward.
Oh yeah, man. I hope the bugs aren't too bad on the mic right now. They're everywhere, man.
It sounds like you're in a windstorm, but hey, we'll make it work.
The storm's kind of rolling through right now a little bit. Hasn't started raining yet. I don't know. But...
That's all right. We'll roll with it.
I'm out in the gazebo, so it's all good.
Well, if you're covered, it's all good. Yeah, man. Well, Hockey Man, you've got your own podcast right now, man. Whatever you want to talk about is what you want to talk about. Let's change gears here. Let's go over to the defense. The ESPN doesn't have all the stats up yet. They tend to be a little delayed with the defensive stats, but I mean, limiting Navy. Yeah, granted, they got new coaches. They got a new coaching staff. Granted, their head coach was the former DC, so take that with a grain of salt. But simultaneously, Navy did not look fluid. Or Notre Dame. Let me ask you the question this way: was Notre Dame just that much better coached and ready and prepared for Navy, or was Navy just outmatched by Notre Dame? Because those are two very different things, right?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, I think Notre Dame coming in is always going to be a better athlete coming around, but I mean, it's hard to tell with the rushing defense when you're dealing with the one team you're going to play per year with a triple option.
Yep.
Because I thought for stretches of time they were kind of weak against it. But at the same time, I can't be angry because they didn't give up any points until the end almost.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and I mean, look, if Notre Dame had to, quote, give up points with a field goal,
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's really rough. No, look, if that's the only way your opponent scores points against you is a flipping field goal, late in the game, I'm sure would I have wanted a shutout? Of course. But look, you kick a field goal in the fourth quarter, I'm not going to be too upset from that.
Yeah, I was on Twitter and I saw Pete Sampson tweet out some stat about the last time Notre Dame shut out Navy was in 1998 or something like that, and I
Mm.
was like, man, I commented on that. I was like, man, that's bad form, brother. Like, what are you doing? Like, jeez.
Well, I think that says something about Navy, as a football team, not allowing themselves to be shut out. I mean, like if you're a Navy, you want to put points on the board. Not getting shut out means a lot. It's a big, walking away with a goose egg is I don't want to say embarrassing, but it certainly doesn't feel good, right? So to at least put some points on the board, that's good. I will say this. When Navy was going for points the first time they got into the red zone, I'm like, and then of course NBC is doing their due diligence. Now whether they listen to this podcast or they have some good stat people doing preparations, probably the latter. But I was reminded of Notre Dame's red zone defense from last year. Like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And like, all right, let's see how we do this year versus red zone defense. And fortunately, they missed their field goal, and so Notre Dame gets a stop. So my whole opinion is just keep them out of the red zone. You don't have to worry about this. But then walking away after the first half, Notre Dame up 28-0. Like, phew, man, whew, I'm feeling really good about that.
Yeah, Navy's not going to quit. I mean, the naval officers and then my fellow devil dogs in the Marine Corps are not going to quit. So
That's right. That's right.
Game,
So real quick, not to get too much away from the game here, but since you brought it up, so you're a Marine, not active anymore, I assume.
No, I'm still active.
Oh, you are still. Oh, all right. Well, thank you for your service. So, hey, this is great. We have an active member of the United States Marine Corps on the show. So in addition to Sam Hartman, sir, you are the Twitter shout out for the night at Hockey Dude 8487.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I'm active duty. I'm a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps. I'm an air traffic controller.
All right, man. All right. We're writing this down in the notes. I have very little Notre Dame stats written down in my notes here, but now we've got some of your details, hockey man. Gunnery sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. Fantastic. Hey, we love that kind of stuff on the podcast. We love hearing from everybody, giving everyone's little background here or there. So let me ask you this question, and then we'll jump. Kevin Davis, I see you, and Patty Mac, I see you guys both. We'll get to you real quick, but we'll let Hockey Man was first on, so he gets the red carpet treatment here, and he's also the Twitter shout out of the night. How did you become a Notre Dame football fan? Were you always a fan, or what's your story, kind of?
Yeah, I grew up Roman Catholic.
Right on.
So Roman Catholic, and my grandma was Polish Catholic.
Oh.
That was always a Notre Dame thing when growing up. So that was they lived in western Pennsylvania in Latrobe.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was the thing.
So that's your Catholicism once again is bringing people to South Bend. I love it. Fantastic. Well, hopefully your religious roots continue and continue to fulfill you spiritually. In addition to Notre Dame fulfilling us today with a 42-3 victory over Navy, going into our first ever FCS game next week. But Hockey Man, before we get over to Patty Mac and Kevin, what's any final thoughts, or just go Irish and Sam Hartman's handsome? I don't know.
I would say go Irish, and I'm looking forward to watching USC tonight. I know they're playing San Jose State, I think it is, later tonight, and so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Are you just hoping like San Jose State wins, or just, or is it one of those like know your enemy kind of watching, like hate watching?
Yeah, it's know your enemy. I'm not wishing USC loses necessarily, but I just want to see what their line does.
Yeah, I think, and I don't think you're wrong at all to be looking down the road after this game just a little bit and just say, okay, look, everyone knows Notre Dame's got 3 tough games this season: Ohio State at home, USC at home, Clemson on the road. Those are the 3 big games. Now, there's a couple games in between there that may give the Irish some problems, maybe quote unquote trap games. Who knows? But to have one eye on the opponent, I don't think is necessarily bad. And furthermore, to kind of ground ourselves in reality after we just defeat Navy by 39 points. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
Oh yeah, man. I just want to thank you for having this podcast and open it up to everybody. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, happy to do it. The show has been much more fun, having more people, more interaction, and we're just gonna get some instantaneous reactions tonight. Hey, Hockey Man, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're gonna get on to Patty Mac.
Ah, man, go Irish!
Go Irish! Thank you, Hockey Dude 8487 on the Twitter. Appreciate you very much joining us tonight. Well, Patty Mac, if you're there at EP King Always STCB, you've been invited to speak. If not, we're going to jump over to Kevin Davis. And I see Brad here listening. Thank you, Brad, for listening. This is the Fighting Irish Faithful Show. We're doing the post-game show of the podcast, Season 4, Episode 7 of the Fighting Irish Faithful Show. Well, Coach Kevin Davis, I see you there. We're going to invite you to speak. Kevin, you there?
Hello.
Yo!
How are you?
Oh, man. I don't know. I feel like I just swallowed a scorpion. What the heck?
Yeah, great game today, though, man. Great game.
Wasn't it good? I mean, just no worries, no problems watching the Irish today, right?
Yeah, I mean, usually I'm critical defensively, but I won't be because of this offense. And, I mean, I think they'll be a lot better. They weren't horrible at all. They're actually pretty good. Offensively, we just looked. I mean, our O-line looked great. I don't know, but people think our O-line looked wonderful.
They looked fluid, right?
Man, it looked great. I know people were scared about the guards and who was going to play guard and whether they were good enough, but they just look amazing. Like I was shocked at how good they looked.
Yeah. Did you think like this is kind of in contrast to like other years? Like I remember in 2017 when Josh Adams is running and he had these gaping holes that you could drive, Chevy Silverados through. These are small little holes, just wide enough for our running back to make his way through. And what's really nice is the way the offensive line is working, the way the offensive scheme is working, the holes are developing. Like I really love the camera angles behind behind the offense. It's kind of like if you're playing Madden or pick your favorite, football video game. I think the new Madden came out recently. I don't know. But if you're watching that, it's like the running backs are running to space and all of a sudden then the hole opens and the running back is there right at the right moment. And it's like, I didn't even see that happening. And to me, that shows patience. That shows trust in the offensive line and in the system as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got receivers that can catch the ball. I mean, they could last year, but they actually got a chance to see it today.
Yeah,
right?
No doubt.
It's just like it was just amazing. Even Estimate was like the one fumble. It is what it is. It happens. But besides that, he had almost a perfect day. It's the offense was wonderful.
Yeah,
defense wasn't
really
bad at all.
Yeah, Estime ends up with 95 yards on the ground with one rushing touchdown, our first touchdown, right? And then Price ends up having our second touchdown after that. So fantastic. But it's really the receivers, and I'm glad you brought them up. Greathouse finishes with 2 touchdowns, 68 yards, and only 3 receptions. But then Thomas had 4 with 1 touchdown, and Colsey had 45 yards and one touchdown as well. 253 yards through the air for the Irish. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need that plus every game. Like, it has to be that plus every game.
Yeah, I'm no doubt.
Successful. My only critique would be defensively would be yeah, that is true. But my only critique is defensively. I just feel like there was a couple of plays where the corners that just weren't ready or something. I know it's the defense. The offense they were going against, but there were a couple of plays where the receivers got behind them, and it was like, I'm pretty sure that's going to be a talking point on film.
Yeah. No doubt at all. Well, and like that's kind of another thing is like, look, this is a unique offense that Notre Dame is facing. Is there a whole lot that I'm not going to say that like we should sweep this under the rug and that we shouldn't pay attention to it, but how much attention should we as fans going into the rest of the season really pay attention to this, unless it's some sort of like assignment discipline kind of conversation, right?
Yeah. I mean, this game for I think for DBs, it is what it is. I think next week they'll get a better look at what they'll see the rest of the season. I wasn't too worried about it at all. It's just like it was just a couple plays where it was like, I mean, you can't let people get behind you like that. Like, you just can't.
Well, and that one where it was like, I think it was Bethello, fortunately hit the quarterback, right? And so the ball was kind of like floating in the air just a tad, and that allowed just enough disruption to prevent Navy from having just a huge home run play. And it's like there was no safety at all. And like I almost paused the TV, rewound it, and just watched the game live and just was like, where the hell was our safety? Like, was there some sort of read or call out by the defense that allowed this to happen and Navy saw it and so they responded accordingly? Or was it just a blown assignment? I don't know. But that's just kind of how the game and that particular play occurred, which just made me like, well, at least they missed it, right?
Yeah, and that's how the triple option set up. Like, you run all this stuff, run, and then when everybody coming downhill hard on the run, you throw those pop passes, right? And the DBs just had to be disciplined a couple of times. They just weren't. And he was wide open. If that ball was a perfect ball, that's a walk-in touchdown.
Yeah, that is a walk-in touchdown, 100%.
Good game though. I'm actually pretty excited. Like, I'm like, we can do well this season. We can do pretty well this season.
I think so. Like let's talk about expectations here. Did you think, were you surprised with the outcome of this game, or were you did you think that Notre Dame could do more? I mean, I guess we always idealistically think they could do more, but did you think like, yeah, this is about what I expected, what we should do?
Well, on your last podcast, I did say the score would be 42-6 with 2 running touchdowns and 4 passing.
Yep.
So I was almost solid on that, but I expected the first half to be more heavy with the scoring. I thought we had, like last year, we had 35 and a half or something like that. I thought with Sam Hartman, I thought we had with estimate, I thought we'd have more at half, even though what we had was quite a bit. But it was kind of what I expected. It was pretty much what I expected them to do.
Yeah.
But I feel like we could have left. It should have been 42-0. They shouldn't even got to kick the field goal. I mean, I think we left at least one score on the field, but pretty solid. Much as I expected.
Yeah,
especially with an offense, you didn't know what they were going to do offensively, even though they ran some of the same stuff. You didn't really know, so I was like, we'll see.
Yeah, a couple things I want to address there. Number one is you're 100% right. Last year, Notre Dame was up 35-13 at half, but then Notre Dame never scored in the second half. Navy tacked on 3 points in the third quarter, then 16 in the second half. And Notre Dame kind of, I don't want to say sneaks by, but it was looking a little nervous there with a 35-32 victory for the Irish last year. Now, we won, but man, just we didn't get anything done in the second half, despite the fact that we had a yards per point of 9.6 in that game. Now, tonight, completely different story, right? The Irish are coming out looking strong and applying pressure, I would say evenly going into the second half. Didn't look like there was really a change in momentum, a change in attitude or excitement. It just and it didn't even look like, we're all jacked up and fired up and just running around. No, it just looked like simple, legit execution. Like, you've done this before, you've played here before, and this is a controlled team playing with confidence.
Yeah, the game flowed well. Like, from half to half, it had a pretty even flow, and that's what you want to see. Unless you're getting your butts whooped, you want to see that pretty even flow, and no high peaks or low valleys. You just want to have a good flow, and I feel like this game was that. It was just a great flow.
Now, I don't want this to sound rude or condescending or something, but the fact that Notre Dame ended up having a huge margin of victory and that there was no drama, quote unquote, was the game kind of boring? But is that what we should want to be a victorious and successful football team? Should we be a quote boring team where we beat up on lesser opponents?
Man, I don't care how we do it.
Maybe I'm looking too much into the ether here, but
but I didn't think it was boring at all. I like these type of games.
No.
So I feel like Navy actually were trying. It wasn't like we were just beating up badly on them. We were just a better team, but they were fighting. It wasn't like it was just like a massacre. The score might say that, but I feel like they were moving the ball. Like, they weren't just sitting there and not doing anything.
Yeah, no, they moved the ball well, and look. Contrast this to last year. Granted, we're not at Ohio State, but I think the team didn't look like they were swept up into the I don't want to say traveling circus, because that just sounds rude and wrong. But I would also be lying if I said that there was not some pageantry associated with Notre Dame playing in Ireland, right? And we have fans of this podcast. My co-host earlier in the week, Stevie D Irish from Ireland, is made his pilgrimage from west side of Ireland and Cork over to Dublin for the game. Whether one of our friends here is joining the show live, that's another story, but they're probably at a pub tonight, celebrating with the Irish faithful, as they should. The rest of us who stayed here in the United States, or whoever is calling in, we're going to do what we're going to do here and break down the game and just get kind of some instantaneous reaction. But Kevin, I agree with you. I don't really care how it happens. A win is a win, but I will also say that a win like this shows a very controlled team that says, look, this is step one. We've got a long season to go, ideally playoffs, bowl game, what have you, in the future. But for now, we celebrate this game, the 24-hour rule. We got to get back to the States, get through customs or whatever we got to do. And then Tennessee State is next, and we quote, shouldn't be worried from them. We'll break that down later in the week. But Kevin, look, the defense looked good. The offense looked good. Anything else we need to know before we get to our next person?
No, just go Irish.
Go Irish. Well, I appreciate you, Kevin. A random question. I had this thought today. Kevin, did you how's your team looking? Because you're still coaching, right?
Yep. Yesterday, we went 53-13. I want to say, so pretty good game.
Woo! So your team put up more points and margin of victory than the Irish did tonight. That's what I just heard.
Yeah, that is, but that's what we expected against the team we played, though. So.
That's fantastic. Well, Kevin Davis, I really appreciate you again jumping on. We're going to put you on hold here. We got a couple new people here jumped on, listen to the show, and if they just want to listen, that's cool. If they want to jump on and speak, that's fine. We'll invite you to speak at Daniel Cragen 86. If you don't want, you don't have to get scared and run off. But MF Golden Swag, that's a tight name on Twitter. You've been invited to speak since you were next, and I see Warrior 40. That's cool too. Hey, welcome to the Fighting Irish Faithful show. If you want to jump on, and there's also Patty Mac there. My opinion is this. Look, this is what's funny is I got a toddler in the house right now, right, and him and I are both wearing the shirt, right. And this is probably one of the first times where, yes, technically this is the second season of Notre Dame football, right? So, but let's face it, now is kind of the time where maybe he could start picking some of this stuff up, maybe start remembering some things. So, you never know if toddler Irish Faithful is going to be picking up on anything. But if not, it is what it is. But no, it was really great having the family, the doc, just here at home. And yeah, life is good. Moving on. So, well, if no one's going to jump on, I'll just keep talking. I certainly don't have any shortened things to talk about tonight. One thing that is great to see is that Angeli did get in right at the end of the game. He had one pass for 2 yards. So, hey, 100% for Angeli. So nice to finally get him, it's garbage time at this point, right? Fourth quarter. But happy to see Angeli come in. And then, like the next question is, okay, clearly Estime got 16 carries. So the bulk of all the carries, the next three guys had 14 carries combined between Love, Payne, and Price. 4, 6, and 6 carries respectively. Now, grant they amassed more yardage than Estime as a whole, but my hashtag RTDB, standing for Run the Damn Ball, man, that was just speaking out loud, and just really happy to see Notre Dame with a commanding ability to run the ball. And furthermore, Notre Dame, well, let's say this next stat for our next person. Warrior 40, I see you there. You've been invited to speak. I see you're on mute. If you want to jump on, go ahead and hit the pink button in the lower left-hand corner if you wish to join us on the Fighting Irish Faithful show. Warrior 40, hello.
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
Hey, welcome to the Fighting Irish Faithful show. What do you think of this Notre Dame game?
Yeah, this is Dominic's dad.
Oh.
So, yeah, great game.
What did you lose your phone and you stole someone else's, or what?
well, similar, yeah, kind of, yeah.
Well, John, nice to see you.
Good game.
I hear your son's at a wedding today.
Yeah, that's a Notre Dame football foul there.
There was someone else I saw that I think was at a wedding as well, and I made some comment on Twitter like, "Well, I hope the game's on at the reception by the bar,"
Dom got married at the USC game.
Oh yeah.
It's really? Come on, man.
Okay. He mentioned this earlier in the show. I think it was last week. Yeah, it was this week.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, okay. So you did listen to the show, and so he said that you were harassing him, and so I think every time he jumps on, I think we'll remind him of this. Now maybe that's a function of like, hey, I got married on a Notre Dame football victory, so I guess he could say that. So
yeah.
But what's your thought of this game? Clearly, you're happy with the outcome, right?
Yeah, and at the end of last year, I think you and I had a conversation a couple times, and maybe over the summer, a time or two, maybe at the spring game. But they just need a quarterback, and I think we saw a glimpse of what they can do with a quarterback.
Yeah,
of course it's Navy, but
Yeah, and that's a good point you make. It is Navy, right? It's not. We didn't just beat up on Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're beating up on a service academy, a team whose 4-year recruiting average is 125 in the country out of 131 teams, right? Notre Dame is 11 and a half for the last 4 years on average, right? And so let's be very clear here, right? Navy is a service academy. You have to be recommended by your congressman to go there. And you're there to not only get education, but you're there to serve the nation in its defense and that sort of mission going forward, right? Those are the primary reasons why you're there. Football clearly is a secondary thing that happens at Navy, right? It's like, hey, who wants to play football? Like, I don't know how recruiting, quote unquote, works at Navy. It's kind of more just like, hey, these guys were halfway decent, football players. And then, like, oh yeah, I'll play. Like I knew a guy at my high school who was our backup quarterback, and he ended up getting he ended up going to the Naval Academy, ended up, serving on a destroyer or whatnot. And he tried out for the team. Now I don't think he actually played or did anything of that nature, but I know that at one point he had made that kind of shift and started going down that path. Clearly it didn't happen. But that being said, I think that, can we get excited about the win? Yes. Should we be happy for the win? Absolutely. But I think the next question is, well, look, it was quote unquote Navy, right? And I think that's but one could say that over the first 4 games of this season, right?
Yeah, my intent is not to bash on Navy. It's great that they have that tradition and that relationship and that partnership. But under Weiss and Kelly, I mean, they got beat by Navy a couple of times.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a good sign. And Hartman it's just he can command the offense. You can see it.
Yeah.
He knows where to go with the ball. He reads the blitzes.
He doesn't look panicked, right?
The Gray House, that pass was on the money. He didn't put too much loft on it. It was just a perfect pass for the situation. So yeah. I think he's the real deal. And again, as we've talked about a few times anyway, man, if they only had a quarterback, I think they have one now, and we'll just see what they can do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. MF Golden Swag said earlier in the chat that Jaden Greathouse looked great. Looks like the days of true freshmen not playing, that should be are over. And I could not agree, any more than that.
That was a darn Kelly thing,
I mean, I just don't understand it. It's like, look, you got the talent, play it, who cares if he's a freshman?
You don't have to be a graduate student to play,
That's right. Yeah, you're there to make plays. You're there to put points on the scoreboard. You're there to help this team be successful. How you do that, whether it's scout team or scoring touchdowns, I don't care. I want you to be successful, and that's the coach's job to figure the part in the middle out.
Amen.
Well, John, really happy you jumped on. You totally threw me for a curveball there I'm like, oh, who's the Warrior 40? I was expecting some Michigan State fan or someone like that. I don't know what that was, but I'm happy. I'm happy it's you. Happy. We'll throw you a follow here, but very happy you're here. We're going to go over to a new person here that's requested to speak. John, thank you very much for joining the Fighting Irish Faithful show.
Yeah. Behave and go Irish.
That's right. It's like my religion teacher my senior year of high school. He would always say, stay sober, no fornicating. Well, Mr. Kovalevsky, we will not be fornicating clearly on the podcast, but we will not be sober because we are powered by Scotch and Spreadsheets. So, all right, Corian 29, you've requested to speak. We've added you as speaker. Go ahead and dropped off. He got a little apprehensive there. That's okay. He couldn't hold off. Well, I see a doctor wishes to join us live from Ireland. Dr. Abby you've been invited to join us. Maybe you're in a very loud, noisy pub, and you wish to join us. Nope, everyone's jumping off here. That's fine. Well, dang it, we've tried twice to bring new people on to the Fighting Irish Faithful show, and it just hasn't happened. So that's okay. We'll either blame Twitter or we'll blame something else, or maybe just people just want to listen, and that's fine too. Well, look, Notre Dame is successful. We're clearly happy with the outcome of the game. I'm not gonna say we're light on people tonight, but we've had some people jump on, jump off, and it's a little earlier in the day. Maybe people are watching some of these lower level games. Maybe people just wanna listen. Just let my voice serenade them. Probably not. Goodness. Well, at least the defensive stats are finally up. So, all right. So Notre Dame ends up with 2 sacks and 5 tackles for loss. Now, truth or a lie, did Notre Dame and Sam Hartman have any tackles for loss against them? The answer is, of course, yes. Notre Dame had 2 tackles for loss. But, and I see Jay on here, at Pello Jace on the Twitter. You've been invited to speak. Please jump on. Give us the live report from Dublin. We invite you to speak, Jay. The question out here to the audience, to the people, is, was Sam Hartman sacked at all? Jay, if you're there, by all means. Hello.
So what's the question? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You clearly found a quiet corner in some pub there in Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah, no, I'm not in a pub. I'm back in my room and tired and no voice left, but yeah.
Oh, that's right. It's really late over there. What time is it over there?
11:40 p.m. right now.
Oh my gosh. That's nuts. Okay, all right. So we'll be kind to you. All right. The question is, how many times was Hartman sacked?
He wasn't, was he?
No, he was not at all. 100% correct. Right. 0 sacks for the Naval Academy. Hartman was not sacked at all. Only 2 tackles for loss for Navy and against the Irish. So very good. How was the game? You were at the game. So this is at Pello Jace on the Twitter. We're going to give out our love to the vets here. We've got Hockey Man, who's in the Marine Corps. We got Pello Jace here, who's in the Air Force, right?
Right.
So we're representing our servicemen here. How was the atmosphere in Dublin? Just kind of.
It was exciting.
Walk me
so
through your day. Let me live. Let the audience live vicariously through you.
All right. So we got up this morning and then we went down to Temple to watch the pep band come out, and the band come out and play, and the cheerleaders and all that, and they shut down all of Dame Avenue and renamed it Notre Dame Avenue. So it was a lot of fun there. And then we went back to the room and kind of chilled for a little bit before we went to the game. We got to the game, and we were lucky enough to be in some really nice seats.
Excellent.
Fortunate enough to have some good seats, and so we had a lot of good people around us that were all enjoying the game, all rooting for the Fighting Irish to win, and it was so much fun, so electric. The atmosphere was great, and from the time we got there to the time we left, everybody was just you can tell that this year seems different, just by how everybody is feeling. Everybody's so optimistic, so I just hope it continues that way.
Now, when was the last time you saw Notre Dame live in person?
Oh, you don't want to know. It was Clemson at the Cotton Bowl.
Oh, okay. So 2018, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that kind of makes sense, right? You're down there in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Arlington area, right? So that makes sense. But here, you had the opportunity, clearly you're a self-made man, and you make your way over to Ireland. You made the expense, you made the commitment, and here we are. And you're meeting good, like-minded folk that are there as well to watch the Irish come out with a victory, and they did it. Defeating Navy with a solid, I would say, a solid ass kicking. Quite frankly, you win by 5+ touchdowns. Talk about dominance, right?
So much better than last year. So much better than last year.
Well, and we were talking about that earlier on the show, where it's like, okay, Notre Dame comes out with this, they have 35 points, but then we do nothing in the second half, nothing on the scoreboard. Now, Notre Dame didn't light it up in the second half, and quite frankly, they didn't need to. And maybe a little bit of that is the new rules. A little bit of that is taking your foot off the gas. A little bit of Navy with ball control. Kind of all of the above, right?
Right. Yeah, I think that the second half was what I expected it to be last year, but for this year, yeah. So it was a lot of fun, and it was nice to see, and I'm happy that tomorrow morning I'll wake up and be able to put on another Notre Dame shirt and walk through the streets and not feel like, oh no, we lost,
Yeah. Well, and thank goodness for that, because that'd be pretty, I don't want to say embarrassing, but pretty bad. But Notre Dame ends up with 444 yards versus Navy's 169 yard points. So clearly Notre Dame is doing better on that front there.
Yep.
Did you think that Marcus Freeman looked much more calm and collect today, or is this kind of what we expect out of him at this point?
So I think that you can see that he's learned from last year. I don't know that it's exactly what I expected, but I think that, he definitely is. You can tell that he's had a year under his belt. So I was impressed with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the one stat I always go back to is yards per point, and Notre Dame ends up being under 12 yards per point, which is great. Versus Navy, they're up in the 50s with a yards per point average. So, yeah, I'm happy to see Notre Dame, just take care of business, and really look, we'll probably do a debrief download of the stats later in the week on the Tuesday show, and we have a little bit more time. But right now, we're just trying to get the fan reaction, the fan instantaneous reaction, and hear from the people, and especially from you, Jay. Is there anything else we need to know about Ireland in general, or Notre Dame, or is there something? Let me ask you this. Is there something you see about this team? Because you saw them live in person. I imagine you had some halfway decent seats near the field, and
Yep.
you can pick up some attitude or some observations of the team. What did you see that maybe the viewer at home here in the States didn't see?
So a couple of things. First of all, there's a calmness about the team. They didn't seem like they were overly anxious or overly eager.
Okay.
But on top of that, they had some swagger to them, which I didn't expect. And I don't know if that's because Hartman's there, because Hartman is a good leader. And Estime really showed out to me. I mean, seen him on the sidelines with the other players. They were really looking to him. So I think that, there's some good leadership there. The only person I was a little disappointed in, and I hate to say even that word disappointed, was Tyree. He seemed like he was going through the motions, but maybe that's just, I don't know. I won't speculate, but
Yeah.
I thought he could have done better.
Yeah, I mean, he had a drop there, and then he only ended up with 36 rushing yards, and a long of 20. So, I mean, averaging 12 yards a carry. We only wish. A reception is, it's not bad, but it's not great either. But only 3 receptions, but look, he's now quote unquote fighting for receptions with Colsey, Thomas, and Greathouse, right? And then there's other guys like Flores and Ford who are in there as well, and then throw Payne and Price and Estime in there as well, catching passes out of the backfield. So, I don't disagree with you where it's like, it would have been cool to see Tyree either have a long special teams return or even a long, pass or a touchdown or something to that effect out of the. But maybe this is a function of Navy scheming and Navy saying, okay, we're gonna really make sure we pressure Tyree because he's a known quantity, whereas Greathouse is new. He's a freshman. And, I'd have to go back and watch film to see what was actually happening on those plays. But maybe it's a function of Navy keying in on Tyree, bees to honey kind of scenario. And then that's allowing Greathouse to get his 2 touchdowns, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Colsey really impressed me this game. I mean, better than I expected.
Yeah, he I don't want to say I was surprised with him, but between him and Thomas, like, let's face it, they are can I say veterans? Like, can I use that language with them? Like,
sure, yeah.
They've been around, they've been in the position. But look, they've got a new quarterback, right? You got a new offensive coordinator, you got a new quarterback coach coming in there. And speaking of which, Of all the coaches that were the most active on the field, I'd have to say that it was Gino Guidugli. He's relaying the message from the tower. He's out there on the field, talking to Hartman, talking to the players, talking to the guys on offense. Guidugli was I'd say the coach of the game, other than Marcus Freeman. But Guidugli was out there, taking care of business. You see him on the field. He looked like a seasoned veteran out there. He's not being wrapped up in the environment. He's not being wrapped up in, it's just Navy or anything of that nature. No, he's taking care of business out there.
Yep, I agree. It was a lot of fun to watch. And it was so much fun to watch an actual, series of plays where they didn't stop and look to the sideline, where the quarterback, looked through his progressions and actually passed the ball where he needed to. I mean, it's night and day from last year. Yeah. It was so much fun.
That's right. And I was going to say, I'm so glad you brought that up because I was going to talk about that later, but since you brought it up, and this is not meant to, dump on Tommy Rees or previous coaches or whatever, but the way the offense just run, it was fluid. It's like, look, we call the play. We're going to run the play. We're not going to look over the sideline. We're not going to do any of this checks and other, psycho shit. We're just going to run the fucking play. And that's what happened in this game. It's just like, look, this is Navy. We don't need to psych ourselves out. We know what our reads are. Our line knows how to block and pick up protections because the coaches have done their job. And look, if you fail, then okay, you take one on the chin and you move on to the next play. But for the most part, we're not going to allow what the defense is quote unquote showing us to psych us out of what we're showing on the offense, right? Let's not be worried about what the other team is doing. Let's just focus on ourselves. Let's move forward and command what's happening on the field. Move forward. Dominating teams don't give a shit what the opponent is doing. They go out there, they line up and say, I don't care if you know what play we're running. We're running the fucking play and we're going to run it down your throat. And look, we did great. The results are what they are on the field and on the scoreboard.
100% agree. Hey, it's late. I got to get some sleep, but I just wanted to check in. So great talking.
Absolutely. Well, Jay, I really appreciate you jumping on. Get some good rest. Well deserved. Thank you for representing the Notre Dame faithful, and we're happy to have you on the Fighting Irish Faithful Joe at Fighting Irish Faithful Show. What am I saying? At Pello Chase on the Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Although it's kind of, I guess it's night. I don't know. It's not even 7 o'clock here, but it's pretty late over there in Ireland. So really happy that Jay is jumping on here. Giving us a representation, representing the show of a faithful member of the Fighting Irish Faithful, live from Ireland. So I guess we're live from Ireland. I don't know. A couple things I wanted to touch on. Not a whole lot. It was a pretty clean game. Notre Dame only had one penalty. There was a pretty bad holding penalty. Navy, we don't expect them to they only have penalties for a uniform dust infraction or something to that effect, but no turnovers. So that's kind of the one. And we talked about this on the show on Tuesday where, go back to 2012, Navy had all sorts of turnovers, between Manti Te'o and the scoop and score by Tuitt. Navy had all sorts of turnovers in 2012, whereas tonight it was a very clean game, no turnovers by either team. Now there was a alleged fumble by Navy, but then the replay, I guess, showed that Bertrand was out of bound or whatever. Okay, fine. And then earlier in the game, someone from Navy comes in, very good technique with a club, punches the ball out of Estime's hands, but fortunately it bounces out of bounds. So, but after that, you didn't see any more of that shenanigans. So, Notre Dame is not as successful as Navy as far as time of possession, but do we think that is, that's not something to be unexpected, right? We anticipate Navy to dominate and win over the time of possession situation there. So, I mean, it's Navy and the running triple option, which is kind of weird. Like I was kind of curious whether or not Navy was going to continue to run triple option with their new coaching staff, but apparently that's what they're still doing, and it was a little different. I don't think it was straight up triple option, but there was some pitches and some other stuff, but for the most part, it's triple option. So, well, at Coach Parsegian, we invite you to speak if you wish to jump on and join us. We're gonna try to keep these post game shows a little light, a little shorter, just because if the microphone's picking it up, I got a toddler and it's late, and I got some other stuff going on. But Coach Parsegian, if you wish to join us, 2-time national champion coach at Coach Parsegian. Join the podcast tonight. It says you're requested to speak. I said invite you to speak. I don't know what's going on here. Coach, you there?
Yes, now I'm here. Something was going on with the Wi-Fi.
That's probably Twitter. That's fine.
It's X now. It's not Twitter anymore.
No, I refuse to call it X because that just sounds weird. Twitter sounds more fun.
It does sound weird. But other than Notre Dame apparently inheriting Alabama's issue with field goal kickers, I have no major complaints other than the referees missing those what should have been 2 turnovers. Other than that, and the field goal kicking, everything was flawless, it seemed. Hartman scored at will. No issue.
Yeah, and let's face it, we expected that, right? We bring in this transfer quarterback, someone who's been around for 5 freaking seasons. This is his 6th season in college football. We expect him to be commanding, to be moving, to the game is slowed down for him. Like go back, think of Buckner or Pine or even Ian Book. They're just kind of running around, not necessarily in a panic, but the game is slowed down.
Hartman is playing NCAA football on the PS5. Right? That's pretty much the easiest way to describe it.
Why does it have to be a PlayStation? Why can't it be an Xbox? What's your?
I'm not an Xbox guy.
All right, that's an agree to disagree here, but the that's fine. I don't really care. No, you're 100% right. Hartman the game is coming to him. He's in the driver's seat. He is not allowing the environment to influence him. Right? He's influencing the environment.
One questionable throw the whole game, and that was late in the game. I mean,
if that, I don't know.
That.
The media is writing all these. You would think the media would be like, oh look, hey, Grant, there's like no other football going on, so what else are they gonna write about? So and that's not to diminish what Hartman did, but they're like, oh, Hartman throws 4 touchdowns. Like, yeah, you honestly think he couldn't do that? You honestly think that he wouldn't do that, or he didn't have the ability to do that? Come on.
I do love how everybody seemed to finally feel like Navy had a head coach that fit the Navy mentality. That was entertaining.
What does that even mean? I don't even know.
He looked like Captain Ahab with that beard. Like, I'm shocked they actually let their coaches have facial hair, to be honest.
Yeah,
it is a military.
Right. Well, look, all I'll say about Sam Hartman is that he threw 4 touchdowns tonight. Do you know what he averaged last season per game, Coach?
I'm going to assume it was less than 4.
That is a great assumption, and it would be a factual assumption. He didn't even average 3, less than 3, okay. 2.9 per game. Hartman had 38 passing touchdowns last season over the 13 games he played. So the math works out to just shy of 3, and he got 4 tonight. So, look, it's against Navy, right? We're not popping champagne corks, but at the same time, we can be happy, take pride, and enjoy the victory, enjoy the moment of what we see tonight.
Okay, here's a question. Do you think Sam Hartman comes anywhere close to Case Keenum at all by the time the season's over with?
Who? Who's that?
Do you think Hartman comes for the passing touchdowns lead? Keenum's at 155.
No. Who is this person?
Case Keenum.
Sorry.
Casey Keenum, whatever he is.
Does he play for Notre Dame? Sorry.
No, I'm just asking. Do you think Hartman gets anywhere close to that record?
Well, I guess that's kind of the heart of the question, pun intended. Who is this other individual we're comparing him to? I'm sorry. I'm the first to admit when I don't know something.
Casey Keenum played at Houston from 2007 to 2011.
Oh, geez. Okay. All right. Casey.
He's got 155 career passing touchdowns.
Okay.
Hartman ended up tying the record, didn't he? By McCoy.
Dude,
He did. Or passed him.
You are clearly stumping the host here.
How many passing touchdowns did Hartman have today?
4.
Okay, so he is tied with Danny Werfel of Florida at number 14 on the list.
All right.
Because he started the game with 110, and if he had 4, then that gives him 114.
Oh, I see what you're doing. You're talking about overall total touchdowns.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. It's totally threw me off. Well, and that's something else to think about. Like the game has changed, or the rules have changed, and then throw in the COVID year, right? These guys get a free year. So, and this is not meant to diminish or belittle, the effectivity of Sam Hartman. That's not what it's about. But it's like, I think what's interesting is you look at this individual from Houston here, and talking about Mr. Keenum's productivity in the time that he was there over a limited amount of time.
He didn't have a COVID year.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like his efficiency and ability to rack up points at Houston. Now, Grant, maybe that's a byproduct of Houston. It's kind of quote unquote what you have to do. But yeah, he ends up. Gosh, what is this? 155 total touchdowns. Is that correct? Good grief.
Passing touchdowns.
That's a shit ton.
Well, if he's, 41 away?
I mean, he had 48 passing touchdowns in 2011. Good crap.
So,
oh my God.
It would take probably making the playoff and in 2 games of the playoff, doing to teams what Georgia did to TCU last year.
Good grief. And I mean, not to belittle Keenum or Houston, but it's like, I don't even know how Houston did in those years from 2008 to 2011, right? But no, that's an interesting point. I guess we'll look. You're touching on something that clearly on this show, a lot of the data has been kind of more, putting Brian Kelly under the microscope and using data and analytics to say, like, get this fucker out of here. Now we have finally the opportunity to say, hey, we got a good guy on our team. Let's compare him to other good guys on other teams, and see how that goes.
Well, I just looked it up. They went like 8-5 twice, 10-4, and then had a losing record.
Yeah.
So if that tells you anything, that passing touchdown leading record of 155 doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it's garbage, but I mean that's more of a function of Houston or just the overall health of their team. I personally like looking at our opponents. That's why I compared Notre Dame to Stats of Champions, because I think it's more relevant, realistic, and it's the goal, right? Like what is the goal? The goal is title, but there's other milestones we can hit along the way. But one of those milestones is beating Navy, and we did that tonight.
Absolutely. With ease. And we didn't blow a big lead this year. So
yeah. No,
it's always a plus.
It wasn't a panic. It wasn't, we're trying to defuse a bomb as it's ticking down, right? That's do I cut the blue wire or the red wire? Like, no, we don't have to worry about that.
Golden finally seems to have the defense in tune. It took them a series or so, but they started finally clicking.
I mean, Navy didn't score points at all, and we did not do our normal breakdown of statistics and breakdown of efficiency of possessions and things of that nature, right? I clearly wanted to get
though it is Navy, Notre Dame's got some freshman receivers that are dangerous.
Isn't that fantastic to see? Like I sent something out on Twitter at @faithful_Irish. Something to the effect of Hartman to Greathouse. Doesn't that sound great?
Yes, exactly. And it's just they start off last year short in the receiver position. They start out this year, and there's how many freshmen playing at the receiver position?
Right, 2, 3, and is it even like reluctance to play freshmen or target them, or is it more of like a function of the quarterback? I think personally it's a little bit of both. Oh
yeah, you've got a quarterback that, like we've said, is just sitting back and playing NCAA football video game, and it doesn't matter who he's throwing it to, they should be able to catch it.
Yeah,
because he knows the right touch for the right person. He just made it look so easy, even with freshmen.
Yeah. No, it's really great. Well, I think, Coach, we're going to wrap things up real quick. Last question I have, I don't know if you caught the end of the broadcast where Hartman's having his interview with NBC after both teams do their alma maters, this, that, and the other. Did you see Hartman with the shillelagh?
After the game, or that?
Well,
some highlight thing I saw where he had a shillelagh in his hand.
Yeah, it was after the game. He's being interviewed by the NBC people, and he's talking about holding a shillelagh. I don't know if you caught wind of that.
I did not catch that.
So what?
That's not the shillelagh that matters to me.
Well, you're not wrong about that. It's the jeweled shillelagh is what we want to take back from the assholes at USC. But
they're not going to bring it with them either.
Well, that's fine. We'll just steal it. It's fine. They're a-holes. So Hartman was walking around on the field with a shillelagh. Now, no, that's not the quote-unquote trophy that Notre Dame and Navy exchange per se with our rivalry, right? Mm-hmm. But what I will say, and this is not meant to be a discussion of rivalry trophies. To me, it was more of like, look, here's a guy who's embracing the Notre Dame spirit. There's a shillelagh. He's holding it, and he's even saying on the broadcast, like, it could be a weapon, but we're clearly not going to use it at that. Like, to me, I was like, yes.
He's embracing what Notre Dame is, its tradition, what it stands for.
Well, and he was singing the alma mater. Like, how many of these guys don't know the words of the alma mater? And Hartman is actually singing the alma mater. I'm holding a toddler, and we're swaying in the living room here, watching on the TV, and Hartman is singing the alma mater. He knows the words, and like if you take nothing away and you're just looking for superficial crap about Notre Dame, which really doesn't matter about X's and O's and points on the scoreboard and wins in the record book, at least, if nothing else, this is a guy who's he knows the alma mater. He's embracing Notre Dame, and he knows that this place is special. This is clearly an improvement for his career to get to the next level. He can get hopefully a grad degree from Notre Dame, and walk away. He can take away something great from Notre Dame.
Yes.
And Notre Dame can take away something that only he can offer, right?
Yes.
It's my hope that look, the only sadness in my heart is that Hartman isn't at Notre Dame longer than this one season. But this is the one season that he gets to make a splash, and quite frankly, it looks like he's making the best of it. And
oh yes, absolutely.
What more could we want, right?
Exactly. But I never saw any of that. The only thing I did see was at some point they were talking about Joe Montana, and NBC of all people, an NFL network, flashes 5-time Super Bowl champion. I cringed. Like, no, not even close. Like, what? I don't know where they got that number from, but it was so wrong.
Yeah, I
yes,
think
they were only off by one number, but still, like, you're a major network.
I was disappointed why they did. Why would they even put that up? You're at a Notre Dame football game. I was yelling at the TV, quietly because the toddler was taking a nap. But I was like, he's the Notre Dame quarterback, the 1977 national champion. Why would they not put up? This is a Notre Dame football game. Put up 1977, national champion Notre Dame quarterback or something to that effect.
Yes.
Put that up. That's relevant to this game. That's why Joe Montana's there. He's not there because he's won X number of Super Bowls with the fucking 49ers. And no disrespect.
He's there because he's a Notre Dame national champion quarterback, and because he is the spokesperson for Guinness to the university.
That's right. Yeah, which is fine.
That is his whole purpose.
It's funny. I went and bought some Guinness at the store, the other day, and I was just like, oh, do they have the Notre Dame Guinness here? And they didn't, but which is fine. But like, but I was like kind of my eye. But no, you're 100% right. Like put Notre Dame Guinness, spokesperson up. Like that would be more relevant to this game than the NFL piece. Like yes, okay, Joe Montana, clearly Notre Dame guy, clearly Super Bowl champion, clearly NFL great, but that's not why he's there. He's there because of his success on the field as a Notre Dame quarterback. And that's what it is. So, like we don't have to poop all over NBC tonight, because that's a whole other podcast altogether.
I just don't understand. They didn't even do the research. They just guessed. Oh, he was always with the 49ers. 5 Super. No, they traded the Catholic away for the Mormon and got their.
Yeah, they got Steve Young. That's right. Yeah, I think, I mean, bad 49ers fan here. Like, I really don't follow the NFL. Like, I always like Montana. You're not wrong.
He's a Notre Dame guy. I'm going to know the history of the Notre Dame guy.
That's right. Well, and that's why he should be there. Now, if they want to put some NFL stuff on there, that should be secondary to the NFL game. But that shouldn't be the primary reason of why they're interviewing him. They should be like, hey, you're Notre Dame quarterback, you're here, da-da-da-da. Like if would Tony Rice be there? I don't know. Like if Tony Rice was there, probably not. But Like in my mind, that's a little more relevant because he's the more recent, national champion Notre Dame quarterback, right? I don't know. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
NBC
Well, we
still
don't have
got
to get
some
all
work to
negative
do
here
on
with
it.
that NBC. We kind of know what's happening with that, and unfortunately, we still have Under Armour and still have ass sweat pants. So I feel like we're bringing the podcast down here at the end, but
Well, better Under Armour than Adidas, in my opinion.
I don't think you're wrong there. But like, just why can't this is silly, But why can't the pants not show sweat? Like, like Navy doesn't have this problem, and they have Under Armour. I don't know. Like,
They're a military academy, though. They get the higher quality.
that's fine. What is it? Is it? Do we have to write a bigger check? Like I don't understand. Like why? Just.
I don't either. I would have rather had the move to Nike and not Man.
Absolutely.
But
Nike would be great. Every team that's won a title since 2011 has had Nike. Just saying. Is it a coincidence or fact? I don't know.
Well, they're not getting leg injuries constantly from Under Armour.
Oh, okay. Well, all right, Coach. Other than our NBC bashing, which has been fantastic, always encouraged. In addition to Brian Kelly bashing, any final thoughts we need to know about this game before we go into, preparing for Tennessee State?
Just offensively, just do the same thing. I mean, whatever, make them stop it, regardless who they're playing. Until they stop it, keep doing it.
Yep.
So everything was flawless tonight for the most part. Great day.
It was a great day. It's and to start off the season, we don't want to start the season off in a panic. We don't want to start the season off with concerns or drama or whatever. Look, this is Navy. It should be punching a clock. It should be a clinic out there, and that's what it looked like, and that's what we saw. So
it wasn't a Brian Kelly business trip.
It was not a fucking business trip. No, thank you. This was hey, we're gonna do some sightseeing after we sign a good deal here with the client. So that's what real business trips are about. They're about work. They're about getting shit done. Take care of business, and then you go out in your before your flight leaves in the morning. That night, you go out for a nice meal and you smoke a cigar and you say, "Damn it, we did a pretty good job." Mm-hmm. So, Coach, we haven't had a toast of the night. Who do you think it's going to go to? I know who I think it should be, but I'm curious what you think.
As far as player?
Yep. Or coach or whatever you want.
Hartman. 100%.
You're going to go with Hartman? I'm going to go half Hartman, and the other half is going to Greathouse. I was really hoping that one of our receivers, anyone on the receiving core would jump out, and the fact that it was Greathouse who pulled down 2 touchdowns. So you're going to go with Hartman. We're going to go with Greathouse too. Those are the toasts of the night, those 2 men. You can't have one without the other. So I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Alrighty. Works for me.
All right, Coach. Well, if we're working for you, Coach Barsegian, 2-time national championship coach here at Notre Dame, live from wherever you are in the grave, at Coach Barsegian on the Twitter. Really appreciate you joining us on the Fighting Irish Faithful show. Hopefully we hear from you on Tuesday.
You should be able to.
We should.
I'm honestly not looking forward to next week's game. But that's just the old school person in me.
Well, that's okay. At least it's not on Peacock, so.
Oh, that's always true.
All right, Coach. I really appreciate you jumping on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and go Irish.
Go Irish.
All right. Well, we have one more person we've invited to speak, and if they wish to join us at Corian29, wish to join us on the podcast. If not, and you just want to listen, that's cool too. Last couple thoughts here about the game in Ireland. kind of a little more of a Navy perspective. I'm very curious of how their program evolves. Clearly not the start they wanted. I imagine they wanted to put up more points, wanted to have more effectivity running the football, but Navy averaged 2.6 yards a rush. Not good at all. Whereas Notre Dame on the other side of the thing, 6 yards a rush. So clearly Notre Dame is doing better. This is not to be an apologist for Navy, but they have some work to do, which is kind of expected with a service academy with a new coach. And but as we said on Tuesday, things aren't completely new, but things are new with the leadership now that Coach Kennett is gone. So very curious to see how they're doing. Happy Notre Dame gets this. And I said this on Tuesday. I'm very happy that this game was at the beginning of the season. You get the big wow, biz, bang, show on the road. It's not a Shamrock Series game, but it's a big away game in Ireland. All these people flying, all over the world, and Joe Montana, and it's great. Happy for it. I'm happy this is at the beginning of the season. I'm really happy about that. Next week we return to Indiana, return to South Bend. Notre Dame at home versus Tennessee State. There'll be a little bit of pomp and circumstance, not a whole lot at home with being the first home game, but first game against our historical black college. But we don't have to talk too much about Tennessee State tonight. There'll be a little bit of the showmanship per se next week. But at the same time, I'm happy that any distraction that could come from this game is quite frankly over. It's my hope that, look, I want the players to celebrate. I want them to be happy with the win, want them to celebrate and move forward as they return back to school, return back to class, and then get ready for Tennessee State coming up. So if no one else has anything to say, I think we might shut things down. We've had quite a few people jump on to listen for a few minutes. A couple people jump off. That's cool too. If anyone's listening to this in the podcast version, Fighting Irish Faithful, part of the Dos Leprechauns universe, we are very happy that all of you have joined us tonight. Notre Dame is victorious over the Navy midshipmen, and man, what a fine game it was. I'm just so happy that Notre Dame can pull this out. Really happy that Sam Hartman, in his Notre Dame debut, can go out there, command the offense, and quite frankly, the way we anticipated and wanted him to do this. Right? There's nothing better than to, quite frankly, impose your will than to curb stomp a service academy. And that's not anything against Navy per se, but let's face it, that Navy had no chance come the second quarter. Like, let's pull off the objective eyes, right? Come second quarter, Notre Dame is kicking their freaking ass. And that's what we want. It's fantastic. So really appreciate everybody who's listened to us tonight, from Coach Barsegian to Kevin Davis to Pello Jace, who's live from Ireland tonight, to Hockey Dude, to John Richard, anyone and all in between. Thank you everyone for joining us on the live post-game show. Really appreciate it. We'll see you on Tuesday, and go Irish, and have a good night.
Throws the ball. It is caught. Reggie Brooks. Reggie Brooks got it for a two-pointer, and Notre Dame is out in front, 17-16. Lost the ball. The pass is batted down. It's batted down by Carroll.
It's caught by Samoza. Inside the 20. Inside the 10. He's going in. Notre Dame has scored.
Dawson throws. Open receiver in the end zone. Touchdown. Notre Dame. Somehow the Irish did it.
Out of the pack, 30, 35. Goodbye, baby. At the 50, the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10. Fire, rocket, touchdown, Irish.
Tyree! Whoa! Can he get there? Tyree at the 30, 20, 10. Touchdown, Notre Dame! Woo!
Jankowski looking for a block. Cuts to the right to the 40. Gets a block. Gets to the 45, 50. Up to the 45, 40, 30. One man to beat. 20, 15, 10. He's down to the 5. Touchdown, Irish.